This video will go over the database workflow and give the basics of how to run a project in the Synectics database from start to finish. Synectics EDMS is a comprehensive data management platform available to government personnel and contractors to support the investigation, remediation, and monitoring of environmental projects. The database has the capacity to store all chemical, geological, and hydrogeological data associated with these sites. The system can be used to plan sampling events, track projects, validate analytical data, generate final reports, perform data usability assessments, and view data in spatial systems. While all of these tools are available to contractors and government personnel, they are not always required. As soon as you kick off the project, reach out to your Synectics point of contact to activate the project in the database. If you are unsure of who to contact, the support email is listed here on synectics.net on the bottom right before you log in. Additionally, your Synectics point of contact can make sure everyone working on the project is provided with a login and can access the project and applicable tools. The first step in the database is creating an EQAP and establishing locations. We recommend both of these steps be completed 90 days prior to sampling. Note that while we list recommended timeframes throughout this video, your project may require a different timeline. The EQAP is based off of the UFPQAP and digitizes the measurement performance criteria that is used during the initial screening process to ensure that incoming laboratory data is compliant with the project's UFPQAP and in the automated data review ADR process to identify quality control outliers as well as apply qualifiers to sample results. Once the EQAP information is entered, the lab can have the chance to review the EQAP and acknowledge it. If the lab has any concerns, for example, if the EQAP lists a method the lab no longer runs, they will let the team know. The team can then make updates if necessary or evaluate if an additional lab needs to be contracted in order to meet requirements. Finally, the project chemist will review the EQAP and approve it. Note that 12 months after approval, the EQAP will expire. The lab will review it again, and if their limits have been updated, provide them to the contractor to update. If no updates are needed, they will re-acknowledge and the project chemist will reapprove. The general workflow for locations, as well as most other data types, is for the contractor, usually Synectics, to enter them under Tools, Data, Submission. They will screen the data to ensure it is error-free and certify the data. Then, a reviewer will review the data and approve it under Tools, Data, Approval. The user will need to populate the location definition and site cross-reference tables to successfully enter data into the database. These tables are the foundation for all successive data loaded into the database. A clearly defined location with an associated site ensures that data will join seamlessly to the correct geographic point. It is recommended to establish locations as early as possible. Location data can be entered with placeholders, then updated once the team goes into the field and establishes exact coordinates. Location ID names should follow the best practice by including a short property reference, such as SXA, for Synectics example airfield, a location type reference, such as MW, for monitoring well, and a number. Confirm that leading zeros are included so locations will sort correctly in dropdowns. Note that the location ID is not the same as the field sample ID. The location is the geographic coordinates where samples are collected. The samples taken at that location will each be assigned their own field sample ID. Depth and sampling date are not part of location ID. Keep in mind that NAD83 State Plane Coordinate System is preferred by the government for location coordinates. Locations entered into the database should be converted to state plane coordinates and reported in US feet. Lithology data, well completion information, and well construction intervals will likely be available when locations are established. The timeline for entering this data will depend on your project. 30 days prior to sampling, we recommend using the event management tools in the database to plan your event. Note that your project may require a different timeline. The event planning tool helps manage large datasets by allowing you to create event tracking reports. These reports update in real time and use color coding to indicate the status of each planned sample. They track the event to ensure samples don't slip through the cracks. Both chemistry and non-chemistry data can be planned and tracked, and it is recommended to plan all applicable data types. Note that the field sample ID will consist of the following elements: location ID, unique timeframe indicator, and QC indicator, if applicable. It can be a maximum of 30 characters in length and is made of uppercase alpha and numeric characters. The hyphen and underscore are the only allowable non-alpha numeric characters. Spaces should not be included in the field sample ID. Field sample IDs must be unique and cannot be reused in subsequent events for the same project. The information filled out in Event Management includes which locations will be sampled for which type of data, as well as sampling specifics for the event. All of the information entered into Event Management can be used to pre-populate digital chains of custody for your field team. Once your sampling event starts, data can be entered simultaneously and event tracking reports will update in real time to ensure no planned samples are skipped. We recommend that field data from your completed chains of custody be entered within 7 days of the end of sampling. Like location data, field sampling data will be entered under Tools, Data, Submission, and Approved under Tools, Data, Approval. Data such as environmental measurements or groundwater levels may be collected by the field team during sampling. We recommend that this data be entered within 30 days of the end of sampling. It is recommended to start loading lab data as soon as it is available, and complete loading within 21 days after the end of sampling. As soon as the laboratory certifies their EDD file, our built-in automated data review processor will automatically begin applying qualifiers. Validators can review, revise, and finalize these qualifiers directly within the interface. Validation should be completed within 42 days of the end of sampling. Once validation is finalized, data should be approved by the project chemist within 60 days of sampling ending. However, your project may require a different timeline. Approved data can be viewed in final reports and spatial systems such as Google Earth. Once all data in an event is approved, the team may choose to perform a data usability assessment using the tools in the interface. Whether this assessment is performed or not depends on the project. The steps of your project workflow can be tracked in the project tracking report found on the dashboard, or under Reports, Event Tracking Reports, Project Tracking. It conveniently highlights cells that are approaching the recommended completion dates. For example, if the sampling event is within 90 days and the EQAP has not yet been approved, the report will highlight in yellow to alert you. A set of performance metrics reports is also available under Reports, Event Tracking Reports, to track the amount of time that has passed for loading field data, loading lab data, validating data, and approving data. This report can be customized to show project-specific expected loading times if the default timeframe listed in this video is not appropriate for your project. Don't forget to subscribe to the Synectics YouTube channel for more tutorial videos. All of the tutorials and playlists mentioned during this video are linked in the description below. Lastly, if you have questions or comments, feel free to contact us at support@synectics.net. Thank you.